Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Zimbabweans cannot run away from the problem that the country is a failed state. And the root cause of it is the failure to hold free, fair, and credible elections. The second point is we cannot run away from the political reality that we cannot pretend that it is only Zanu PF that is responsible for the country's failure to hold free, fair, and credible elections. While that may have been the case before the GNU of 2008 to 2018, that GNU changed the metrics. The opposition, MDC, Triple C, are a key player now. It is amazing how some people would still want to pretend that the opposition is performing an excellent job. There's nothing wrong with them. If you look at the elections of 2013, 2018, and the latest one, 2023, there cannot be any doubt that the opposition played a key role in helping Zanu PF rig the elections and get away with it. So if we want to cure ourselves of the problem of rigged elections, we have to look at the opposition. Nelson Chamisa lied to the people of Zimbabwe in 2023 when he said Triple C was going to win big because I've plugged all the vote rigging loopholes. Hashtag God is in it. He even invoked the name of God. He was lying. Why some people don't want to discuss that clearly shows why we are in this mess. We are people who do not want to deal with the problem. They hope that it will go away. They can pretend everything is fine. No, it's not. The opposition is now an integral part of the problem of rigged elections in Zimbabwe. That is a fact that we must come back to and deal with. We cannot proceed until we address that issue. Instead of addressing those issues, we have got publications like Change Radio, who are already starting their usual game of praising Chamisa to the rafters. This is just, it's almost childish. One can only compare it to George Orwell's book, Animal Farm, where the animals get so focused on the leader to the point you hear the animals saying, "Thanks to Comrade Napoleon, how excellent the water tastes." And in our case, in the latest article by Change Radio, they want us to praise Chamisa, that he gave everyone else a year and a half since he took his sabbatical to fill the leadership vacuum, and nobody did. They couldn't. And hence, these three factions, one truth. Only Chamisa has the people's mandate. How nosy at him. Chamisa and these MDC friends are the ones who got the country into this mess. When they had the golden opportunity to implement the democratic reforms, they failed to do so. For the last 25 years, they failed to implement even one token reform. And ever since the GNU debacle, they've been conning the people of Zimbabwe to participate in flawed elections, to give Zanu PF legitimacy. They knew that doing so will give Zanu PF legitimacy. That point cannot be denied. That point has been made again and again, and it must be said. They've been participating in these flawed elections out of greed. Why some people don't want to accept it, beggars belief. But the truth of the matter is, the nation cannot move on. If we are serious about ending this case of rigged elections and bad governance, those are the problems we must deal with. I would like to remind the people of Chamisa's boasting about winning the 2023 elections.
Makorokoto Zimbabwe nokuti hakuna munhu anomira kana denga raronga plan. Denga raronga plan, denga harifo iri. Plan ya Mwari haifo iri. Ini ndatanga kugadzira cabinet. There is no way we are not going to form a new cabinet. There is no way we are not going to have a celebration. There is no way we are not going to have an inauguration. Let's start preparing for our inauguration. Let's start preparing for our celebration.
He was lying. Why is it some people don't want to accept it? Here is one occasion where somebody, in this case here the BBC, took him to task. A rare thing. I've yet to hear it from our own Zimbabwean mainstream media. Take Chamisa to task on issues like that.
Ende patakasangana na Trump akatibvunza navakomana, mari yamuri kuda kuti nyika ifambe imari.
Serious questions were raised about your behaviour in Washington, D.C. You did see some senior people on Capitol Hill, some Congress people, but you also claimed that you'd seen Donald Trump. You claimed you had a conversation with him in which you said he asked you how much you needed to move the country forward. You told him $15 billion, and he said to you that he would provide the money if you won the election. That was not true, was it?
Sangana na Trump akatibvunza navakomana, mari yamuri kuda kuti nyika ifambe imari.
It was not true that you'd seen Donald Trump and that Donald Trump indicated to you that he would provide, if you won the election, $15 billion.
All those statements were said by other people, not what I said.
Kasangana na Trump akatibvunza navakomana,
Well, no, because there is a video which shows you at a rally in January back home in Zimbabwe saying that Donald Trump had pretty much promised you $15 billion. To be clear, because some people in Zimbabwe are still confused, you're now telling me you did not meet Donald Trump.
We did not.
The question that must be asked is, Chamisa lied. Why did he lie? Why did he even evoke the name of God, saying that CCC was going to win big elections that he knew Zanu PF was rigging? And indeed, we've since found out that he even assisted Zanu PF in rigging those elections, because he did not even deploy something as basic as election agencies at the polling stations. At many of the polling stations, he did not deploy election agents. Not because he didn't have the money. He had the money. He was given the money. He just didn't deploy them and pocketed the money. We cannot deny that the opposition in Zimbabwe, ever since the 2008 GNU, have connived in Zimbabwe's flawed electoral process. That is the number one message we must accept. And if we accept that, then we must address the issue of what are we going to do to make sure that this does not happen again. To pretend that it's only Zanu PF that is responsible for Zimbabwe's flawed electoral processes is to miss the point completely. Because that is exactly what Zanu PF is now relying on. SADC and the AU condemned 2023 elections. Mnangagwa has dismissed that comment as deja vu. And not only that, Mnangagwa has done absolutely nothing to make sure that the flaws and illegalities that SADC and the AU referred to are addressed before the next elections. Why? Because he's confident that the opposition will participate in those flawed elections and give him legitimacy again. Here is Mnangagwa dismissing SADC and the AU election observers reports.
Ana vakatuka Zanu PF kana ini ndonyanyisa kufara kuita zvakanaka. Ukavona vavengi vakwashi kurumbidza nekuchikanganisa. Ukavona vachiti Zanu PF yakaipa farai. You are doing great things for your country. Home takaita elections edu kuna vamwe vaitaura zvisina musoro zvikanzi maelection anafamba zvakanaka ndezvavo.
As long as Mnangagwa knows that the opposition will participate in these flawed elections out of greed, they are never going to implement any reforms. That is the truth. To be realistic, are we ever going to stop Chamisa and company participating in these flawed elections? The honest answer is no. They have an interest, an invested interest in participating. They get a few gravy train seats, and that's all they care about. Indeed, in the 2023 elections, even after SADC and the AU had condemned the election process, those CCC leaders who had participated and won the gravy train seats, the likes of Advocate Fazai Mahere, the mayor of Bulawayo now, David Coulthard, Siziva, and many others, they all went ahead and took up their seats. Yes, some of them have since lost them as a result of this Savango activity. But in the first instance, they had accepted to take up their seats, even when SADC had said those election processes was flawed. Those people will be participating again in flawed and illegal 2028 elections out of greed. To keep on pretending that it is Zanu PF that is responsible for Zimbabwe's failure to hold free, fair, and credible elections these last 45 years is to miss the point. We have the opposition who are pretending that they're still fighting in the people's corner, when in reality, they've long stopped doing so. MDC, CCC leaders are Zanu PF Team B in all but name, playing for Team A to win and for Team A to have legitimacy. This is a fundamental truth that the people of Zimbabwe must accept if we are ever going to have any hope of ending the madness of rigged elections in 2028. This is where the real fight is now. You don't fight Zanu PF. Zanu PF is using MDC, CCC as the cover. As long as we fail to realize that MDC, CCC as Zanu PF Team B will keep on playing this game of rigged elections with the disastrous consequences that we can see for ourselves. Zimbabwe is a failed state because we have failed to hold free, fair, and credible elections. Yes, Zanu PF has rigged those elections, but they would not have rigged and got away with it without the active connivance of the opposition. That is the message. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.